Well, more and more day by day, Drake further proves why he just cannot be considered the best rapper alive. I don't know what's going on with him, but he has reportedly canceled his tour, which is kind of crazy to me. Apparently, I thought they were sold out, so if he had a sold out tour and he's just canceling it, I don't know what's going on with him. Maybe mentally he's just not in the state to do anything anymore. But this coming after the beef, I know we're all tired of listening about the beef, but we have to talk about it. It affected him so much. This truly is the effect of what Kendrick Lamar has done to him over time, and I believe this is the reason why he's stopping his tour. I think he's just tired of, getting ridiculed all over the place now, considering his actions are the things that brought this upon his own self. But other than that, we're gonna see. I don't know the entire backstory behind it, but we're gonna see why he's having this meltdown. So let's get into this video by Fantastic Hip Hop, and sub to the channel, like, comment, subscribe, you know what it is, and let's get into it.
Mr. Drake, after canceling his tour out of nowhere and shocking everyone by ending an entire series of shows he had planned within a way like we have never seen, what we are finding out now is that beyond the low ticket sales, things for Drake were way worse than we could have ever thought, because during the
Okay, I didn't know they were low ticket sales. I thought they were all sold out. It's Drake, so you would assume it's like not, you assume it'd be sold out, but I guess not. Damn.
last few shows of the Anita Max Win Tour, what we have now seen is that Drake has really let everything going on get to his head. And because of this, he had a meltdown not just on Kendrick Lamar, but on the entire rap game and music industry, and seemingly because of this, more than the poor ticket numbers could ever do, Drake has actually not just given up on this tour, but every single thing around his music career. And now, before we go any further into all of this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe so everybody can know what's really going on behind the scenes with Drake and OVO. And so with that said, when it comes to Drake and this moment, in the timeline of events that we have already seen, as we already thought that the entire cancellation of this tour has been one of the strangest moments that we have witnessed recently as rap fans, because really, with Drake leaving the road with the ridiculous cover-up that we all had to read, over everything else, what we could clearly see is that something was very off on Drake's end, and they are definitely hiding something from us. And the more we explore what was going on behind the scenes, what we are now putting together is that everything for Drake got way more out of control than we could have ever expected. And I mean, when it comes to why this is, we shouldn't be surprised, because really, Drake being this much in the public eye during the same time where, no matter how else you try to put it, Kendrick Lamar has been winning in every single sense of the word possible.
And I really wonder if it's like what is it? The UMG lawsuit they has. I know they just announced that they're putting the Night Like Us performance from the Super Bowl into that whole lawsuit thing, but I wonder if UMG's in the background doing something, causing them to stop his tour. I don't know. I don't think they could do that, honestly. To stop his tour. I think tours are just completely separate from just music streaming. So I don't know. That's just me putting on my tinfoil kufi on. I don't know.
Has been getting him more and more mad, and seemingly because of this, Drake has given up on trying to compete with Kendrick, at least in the limelight right now, which in of itself, trying to compete with Kendrick head to head in a time where he had things like the Super Bowl halftime show going on, and he of course ended up sweeping the Grammys, was just ridiculous, and once again was another example of how Drake never properly estimates his opponents. Still, with Drake not recognizing that Kendrick Lamar is on one of the greatest runs any rapper has ever been now, there's nobody he can blame for this but himself. And with the ending of this tour, we saw just how bad all of this is getting for Drake, as he had some of the strangest outbursts that we have ever seen. And these all went down during none other than the final few shows of his Anita Max Win Tour, which really, with the way Drake was going—
I did see one clip where he was talking about all of his friends that didn't turn his back on him during the beef. I don't know about you, though, but you said it was 20v1, and you said you were going to be able to handle that, but apparently not. That sounds terrible, but you know what I mean, rap-wise, not the other way. But still, and that's on you, bro. You asked for that.
Going here already, because beyond not being able to fill up all of these arenas, which would have looked so bad for his entire image at this point, and really Drake would not even be able to come back from that. Beyond just the humiliation of Drake no longer being able to fill out arenas when Kendrick Lamar is about to fill up stadiums, platforms. The bigger problem at hand, and why this tour just got out of control, and why Drake canceled it the way he did, is because Drake has been making these tours less and less about performing and celebrating his music and career. And instead of doing this, between people going to these shows trying to get a handout from him with their signs that are just begging him for things, and Drake not even performing the actual music and just running around and playing karaoke on stage, and then even letting the DJs play the songs that actually have been gaining Drake the most momentum since the beef and not playing them himself, which is what he is doing when Nokia is playing at these shows. Which in of itself, the fact that Drake is not giving this record good performances is another reason why the record is not gaining the momentum that fans think it should, and why they need to stop with the narrative that this record is being suppressed, because the only thing holding it back is Drake's unenthusiasm, which overall, with all of these factors and all of the cringe moments, it's safe to say that with these performances, there has never been a more boring set of shows that Drake has ever done in his entire career, and making this tour all the worse, Drake's actually using the little time he is talking on the microphone to just unravel his thoughts and anger towards everything, and as a result of this,
I haven't heard anyone say that the Drake show's been bad. I didn't even know they were that bad, to be honest. Usually he has like big production for his shows. As you can see, he had drones. I don't know if that's recent footage or not, but it looked like it. But I didn't know the shows were that bad. I wonder if people got complaints on Twitter about it. We'll see later.
We have been getting some genuinely weird moments that are truly just showcasing how angry Drake is, but also how complacent he is in the fact that he does not want to actually change anything about what he is doing. And as already, before this tour completely went off the rails, we were seeing Drake do things like encourage fans to bring in signs that were disrespecting and saying awful things about Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, I saw
of course,
that.
there was a moment where a fan held up one side that said F Kendrick, and Drake responded to it saying facts. With what we have seen now, a moment like that looks pretty calm, because overall, these performances have got a lot weirder, and with some of the clips coming out, it seems like these things are not even gatherings for music, but in actuality for Drake, they are just launching grounds for him to crash out and vent to thousands of people like we never have seen before, as the first weird moment from Drake's shows recently comes from when he was standing and looking into the crowd. Fans started to chant F Kendrick, which I mean, considering the reality of everything and the fact that these people still went and put their effort into going into a Drake concert, I mean, that's no surprise that people are chanting this, but what's interesting here is that Drake doesn't just take in the moment, but I mean, you can see from the clips that he is encouraging fans to say this and only wants to hear it more. Which again, considering where the beef has went between these two, while on some level this wouldn't be
What the hell is he wearing? I'm sorry, that was bothering me. What is that?
surprising, in reality, for Drake to act like he is so scared of Kendrick with the claims he has made in his suits, but then try to act so tough here, it almost seems like Drake feels validated being in these crowds to just go crazy and crash out, and this is the only time he ever does. Which I mean, all of this is just so off-putting. And considering how being this upfront about dissing Kendrick this all is for Drake, it really seems like he's almost breaking the character he has been trying to play and convince people not in the know with to make him look like a victim of everything that has happened as a whole. And now, even more revealing than this, and just showing how Drake is straight up raging at the entire industry because everything about his loss and how he has failed is really settling in, he made a speech where he said, "For all my collaborators, all the producers, and all the artists that I've worked with," but then of course had to butt into that trying to say, "The ones who didn't turn on me, the ones who are still real, I appreciate you." With Drake saying something like this, while it may be a nice nod to the remaining people who are desperate enough to stay on Team Drake, for Drake to start off a statement that was trying to support people but then of course putting things like the way we saw, he knew what he was doing here, and really with a statement like this was trying to just throw more disses out at these people in any way he possibly can. And I mean, it's so funny when Drake fans complain about how Kendrick Lamar and everybody else around him are still keeping the beef going when you see things like this, because while someone like Kendrick has not said a single thing to or about Drake aside from when he performed Not Like Us since their diss tracks released, from music to posts to meltdowns like these, we have seen Drake continue to express that he isn't just not over all of the beef that has went down, but that he is still livid at Kendrick Lamar and wants to actively try and get a massive win on him in any way he possibly can. And really, with Drake being at this point where his shows have just gotten so strange in terms of how little they are featuring good performances and live rapping and are only being talked about for failing to fill out buildings or for crash outs like these, what's really starting to seem like the clear and obvious answer why these shows were canceled is that Drake and his team have seemingly realized that this Anita Max Wood tour is worth nothing to what they are trying to do currently, and because of this, they are packing things up because they have nothing to gain, because for Drake on every single level, It is so obvious that he was blatantly bored of being on stage and performing his music.
Honestly, at the end of all this, I really think Drake's best option now. Now that I'm looking back at it, he should have just kept going back and forth with Kendrick at this point, because he could have at least had, something pop up for him. I guess if he kept dissing. I don't know. You doing this as well on tour? I think that would have really like leveled him up. Same thing with Kendrick. I mean, Kendrick didn't really have to do it. Kendrick does whatever the fuck he wants to do at this point. But Drake, I feel like since he's always around yearly, just always releasing projects back to back, I think him continuing to Kendrick might have helped him out in this, and maybe we won't be having this outcome right now, considering how his tour sounds like it's been going. So that's just my opinion. Hey, but it is what it is now. It's kind of too late for that.
Which, I mean, as a rapper and artist is concerning, because at the end of the day, that is what you're famous for, and performing is the most pure way for you to deliver your art. But also because of the weird disses Drake has been making towards Kendrick and the stuff he has been encouraging on stage, his team very well could have seen this and recognized how chants like these show that in the suit he is trying to win, that all the stuff we are now seeing from Drake could be spun around to say that Drake has always had the same level of influence that Kendrick does, and that Drake has also tried to do the same things to Kendrick's image as Drake is claiming that Not Like Us did to his, which will ultimately add to the idea that this was always a competition and the two knew the possible effects of what they were getting into, which with all of this, and really is when it comes to Drake, as everything he has been doing is for the opportunity of what he can gain because he is so clearly disinterested in the actual art and craft of what he is putting out and what performances he is giving, this at least on some level seems to check out, because overall Drake now seeing after a tour an album that did nothing for him, Drake is now giving up on pushing himself in the competitive fields of performing and rapping, which is so clear because with everything leading up to the end of this tour, he is showing no care for what he is doing beyond the bare minimum of it all, because even with SSS For You, as it stands, why have we seen no videos or any other efforts to try and push this album and make it do better?
Think about it. This is the most low effort I've seen him put into an album. He always has a video out. Now that he brings that up, that's kind of crazy. Did not think about that. Hey, Drake, it might be done for you, bro. I don't know. Maybe he's just feeling down. I don't know. There's plenty of other rappers that's felt down before while on tour. Earl Sweatshirt, you cancel his tour due to depression and anxiety, but it could be the same thing for Drake right now. And honestly, it's kind of his fault. it's his fault. Earl's situation is completely different than what happened to Drake. So, hey, you did that to yourself, bro. I don't know. At some points, I kind of want to feel bad, but I don't. But you kind of did bring it on to yourself. And now you're facing the repercussions of all that, and now it's all coming crashing down on you all at the same time. So, hey, that's on you. That is on you.
Unless it's just an extension of the fact that now that this album has done lower numbers than Drake ever has, that he just doesn't care about it anymore and will not put the effort into telling the story of it because he is not gaining something directly. And really, without the music or the tour doing anything for him as a whole, it really just seems like Drake has now given up on these measures of winning people back, and is now putting all of his effort and care into one thing to end his loser's lap, and the success and dominance of Kendrick Lamar as a whole, which is of course his lawsuit. And I mean, while there is already a lot to discuss there which will need its own video, what we can already see is that with Drake now being at a point where, at least for now, he has canceled an entire tour and has given up on a new album just because their reception was maybe worse than usual, and now he is trying to win a beef by having what is in his eyes the best paperwork he ever could. I mean, if this is what you want to do, what are you even playing at this point for? Because again, if you are not doing all of this to try and have your music connect with the actual people, what are you even winning at this point? But of course for Drake, since this is all about pride and ego clearly, that does not matter, as just as we saw on this tour, this was all only ever a vehicle for him to try and gain and boost his perception and never actually give the fans decent shows, and because none of that has worked out. Of course, because Drake doesn't actually care about the art but only the optics, he has given up, and now as Drake is crashing out to new levels, while he is running away from everything for now, I am sure the next time we see him, it's going to be an even further display of how Drake has ruined his entire rap legacy. And so now with all of that said,
damn, that's a good video by Fantastic Hip Hop. That is crazy to think about. You quit making an album and you cancel your tour? I don't know what's going on. That's crazy. Will this be a year where we don't... actually, never mind. We already got meets from Drake. I was going to say, this might be the first year Drake doesn't drop music or an album. But never mind. I forgot about the other album that he came out with, Sexy Songs for You. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, like it, comment, subscribe, do what you gotta do. Just help me, man. I know YouTube's algorithm have not been on my side recently, so you know, we'll just have to get through it. We're going to find another niche to do, man. I'm gonna still do music reactions, but we're gonna try and expand our little taste here every now and then. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.